Hey everybody, John with The Simplest Biz, and welcome to part two of how to explain The Simplest Biz to your spouse or your significant other. So, first of all, I want to thank my wife for getting on in the part one version and going over how it's affected our lives and her life and what she thought about all this when she first heard about it way back when. And I appreciate her for doing that. And in this video, I really want to get into some hard data about the Simplest Biz. Okay, so I'm gonna pause the screen and we're gonna go over some slides and some articles that are out there, so you're not just hearing it from me, so you understand why I do this business and why I teach this business to my students. And it's a joy to do because it's a absolutely viable niche. It's a huge niche, and it's a great business model. And I'm looking forward to helping you understand what this is about in this particular video. So pause for a minute and I'll be right back. So here we go. This is specifically for your significant other or spouse to check out so you have a better understanding. And this is the start of the slideshow. How can a biz that's so unsexy be so smoking hot? Meaning, this is not a sexy business. This is a business you do where you live, whether you do it passively with brokering or actually doing point A to point B with the pallets, and we'll get into all that in the other videos. But it's time for you to get a little educated about what this is so you have a better understanding what your significant other's been looking at. Okay? Hope this helps. I'm going to go on to the next slide. Wooden pallets remain a vital part of the global economy. That is absolutely true. It moves everything. So let's start. Wooden pallets might not get a lot of thought from the average consumer, but the fact remains that they are one of the most important parts of the global economy. Without them, goods would be more difficult to obtain, not to mention a lot more expensive. So this is a cheap, inexpensive way for the economy and all commerce to be moved from point A to point B across the globe and across the country and across your town. Okay? Around 80% of goods in America are transported in pallets or on pallets during at least part of the life cycle. In fact, there are 2 billion wooden pallets in use in the United States at any given time. 2.8 billion in Europe as well. So that's like 4.8 billion pallets right there. It's an absolutely massive niche. Okay? Best of all, wood used to make them is a byproduct from the timber industry, which means trees are not cut down just to build pallets. Wooden pallets are reliable and very cost effective. They can be reused many times before they reach the end of their life cycle. And many times we are selling slightly used pallets to a business on the second go around of these pallets. They're perfectly good. They are still working in order, and we get 95% of that product for free. So our overhead is next to nothing. Let's go to the next slide, another article. The importance of pallet in the global economy. And some of these things repeat a little bit, but I'll go through them quickly. Once you start to look for pallets, you see them everywhere. That's true. I get texts every day of the week of people who've been exposed to this, and they understand now, oh my gosh, I can see them everywhere. They send me pictures and stuff. Pallets are used to carry 80% of all commerce and account for more than 46% of all U.S. hardwood timber production. At some point in the global supply chain, pallets are used to transport almost every object in the world. It's the one common denominator between everything is the pallet. Everything's moved on it at some point in time in its life cycle, whether it be the raw materials, the end product, or in between. And absolutely gigantic as far as the niche. And that's why I've been doing this for 22 years and now have the pleasure of teaching other people how to do it themselves, for themselves, okay, where they live. Now, a little history. World War II, millions of pallets were employed to manage supply lines and improve turnaround times. So it really became an integral part of the economy back in World War II, and it helped us win the war because it's not really the battle plan, it's the logistics that win wars. I mean, I in fact heard a general or somebody like that say that last week. Key role of pallets in the world economy. Pallets move the world. Wooden pallets play a critical role in the movement of storage of goods worldwide. Pallets move the world's economy. By 2019, experts expect there will be more than 2.5 billion pallets in circulation in the United States. carrying 80% of all U.S. commerce. Think about the internet and how much stuff is being even sold during what's going on right now, and being moved around in huge quantity. Even with what's going on, the government moving stockpiles of items as well. The pallet touches it all. So another reason to help you understand, this is a bulletproof niche, even with what's going on with the pandemic currently going on in the United States. Massive amounts of stuff is being moved. Hundreds of millions of people are ordering things online, and all that stuff, even the raw materials, have to be moved back and forth to make this stuff happen, make the economy move. Specifically in a different way right now, but it's still actually an uptick in demand with pallets, crates, drums, dunnage, and all this other stuff that comes into play. The trend is leaning toward repaired, refurbished, and recycled pallets. One of the advantages of using recycled pallets is helping companies meet their sustainability goals. We are recycling, okay? The pallet became more a part of commerce in 1937, so it's kind of a little history in the back, and you can read this if you pause. If you look, you'll see pallets everywhere. Just think about your trip to the local warehouse, grocery store. They are so integral to the world economy that some manufacturers adjust the dimensions of their products so they can more easily fit onto a shipping pallet. So the pallet itself affects business. They know it's such a vital part of their logistics that they adjust what they do to fit the role of the pallet. It's crazy. So without pallets, most of what you eat, wear, sit on, or whatnot would not have gotten to us as easily or as inexpensively. Pallets have been compared to the wooden Incredible Hulk. Something, just a stack of wood. You wouldn't think it, but my gosh, it has a major impact on the world. The single most important object in the global economy, the pallet. How exciting can such a pile of words be? Speak of the devil. And yet, pallets are arguably as integral to globalization as containers. For an invisible object, and that's why I love this niche, it's invisible, nobody sees it. I've kept it under my hat for years and years before I decided to teach other people about it. They are everywhere. They are said to be billions in circulation through the global supply chain, 2 billion in the United States alone. Some 80% of all U.S. commerce is carried on pallets. So widespread is their use that they account for, according to one estimate, more than 46% of all total U.S. hardwood lumber production. Not houses, not fences, not buildings, pallets. 46% of all U.S. hardwood lumber. Incredible stat. The lowly wooden pallet is a critical conveyance in the supply chain. Helped to educate me on how prolific the wooden pallets are in the global supply chain. Many people don't pay much attention to the pallet, and that's the way we like it. As people who actually run this business, and you as a potential student or your significant other, it is wonderful to be under the radar in a business where you don't have millions of people doing it like you would have with Amazon drop shipping as an example, or SEO or something crazy like that. This is a viable local business that is very attainable to the everyday man. Okay. And it simplifies your life. And that's why I call it the simplest biz. Onward. Wooden pallet industry is at 11.5 billion American success story. $400 billion worth of American trade is exported, not even for this country, but exported annually using wooden pallets and containers. Okay, so the next section I'm going to go into is just showing you, some Google Earth, just in a couple of different cities and just a few locations of the quantities that we're talking about with pallets and crates and 55-gallon drums and wooden spools and stuff like that. Okay, so as you can see, this is just one location, sacks and sacks of pallets. These are wooden reels that we can sell because they're very expensive to make. So the business we sell them to really like buying a slightly used one that is perfectly workable. more pallets in this picture here. These are 55-gallon drums in this section here, which are used for transporting things. And the good thing is they go on a pallet as well. So when this type of stuff is used, it's shipped out on a pallet, and both of them are going out the door. And of course they run out and they need more and more. So this is a recurring revenue type stream we're working with here. Stacks and stacks and pallets here. Here's another, I don't know if I had that on the previous slide. More pallets. These are like 30, 20 high, probably is about where we're at here. This whole section right here. Stacks and stacks of pallets at one location in one city. Okay. Let's move forward. A couple more slides and we'll be done. This is dunnage, more pallets. One business right here. Perfect example of a nice 250, 200, 300 pallets for one business. I'm going through this probably on a weekly basis. All these are pallets here, 55-gallon drums again in this picture. And let's go through, we've got two more pictures. These are a couple of my students. We just picked up a little less than half from one supplier this morning. So these go for $6, $7 a piece. And this is just an hour worth of work loading this, or less than that if they loaded with a forklift driver and strapped down and ready to go to the buyer. So 20, 40, so we got 20, 40, 60, 120, another 250 pallets probably total with this. And at $7 a piece, takes about an hour to do total from going to, we're not going far, we're going 3 blocks from point A to point B. Another one, ran across this buyer the other day, need cheaper 6-foot and 4-foots. He's out there measuring what's taking place for one of his new customers. Again, here's that load before. And let's go through the last slide here, just to give you a little bit more ideas. This is one of my students. He wasn't even thinking about pallets, he said. Looks like another opportunity. So he's sharing it with the other guys in the group. This is outside the training, but it's a private group that people who get involved in this have access to as well. And everybody is helping everybody out in that community. Again, Gaylord boxes come into play. These are $15, $17, $20 a piece. These really thick corrugated boxes like you see here that we get for free, we sell as well. So this is one of my students going through that process. And I literally have, there's thousands upon thousands of posts I could go through with my students. So just to hit this point home, this is a viable niche that you guys are looking at. It's massive. The overhead is next to nothing. There's an investment in the training, of course, but even if you don't have a truck, there's a rental process you can go through with that. You can broker pallets. We're not lifting this stuff. We're not repairing this stuff, or we're not storing this stuff. We're taking it from point A to point B on a consistent basis, week after week after week after week, to the same customers. And then we, of course, since, I have customers that will order pallets, but they also will order corrugated boxes. So one account ordering on a weekly basis now has 2 separate revenue streams. Ordering week after week after week. And you're turning 5 accounts into 10, 12, 15 revenue streams on a reoccurring weekly basis. And that's the power of this niche. I hope all that we've said is registered with you somehow. I know this is a long video, but it's important for you to get the overview of what your significant other is looking at. And I think it's important to kind of break it down in a way for you to understand the importance of this niche and how we serve businesses in the correct manner, because this is a very underserved niche. Book an appointment. Pick that phone up. There's an appointment. There'll be appointment links here. That's the next vital step to take if you're interested in doing this. Or if you've already had an appointment, have your discussion. And it's important that your spouse or your significant other are both on the same page and have an understanding of what's going on with this before you actually get in. And it's my job. Hopefully, we've done a good job in relaying that information for now. But if you have more questions, of course, let us know, and we'll answer anything, the questions you have or your significant other has. Okay? Y'all have a good day. The Simplest Biz for You, FORU, the letter U.com. The Simplest Biz for You.com. Thumbs up. Ring the bell on this thing so you can get more videos, and subscribe to this channel. John Wilker out with The Simplest Biz. Talk to you guys soon.